Alright, so we have like a mid-GM Ashe here, 4.2 I believe, and I believe also Sombra. So let's see this here. This is about the right position generally first. Okay, so how do we know what they're running if we haven't hit tab yet? We've heard the Sombra, but that's all we really know for sure, and we've seen Ryan Zarya, so that's all we really know. So there we go. It took us almost double the time it could have. And then the other big thing, major thing, way bigger than tab, is that you and your Widow are both standing in the exact same spot. So you are here, and your Widow is here. And that's it. You're both just standing here, which means you can both shoot right here. That means you're both going to have a hard time getting behind cover. It means if they have Ashe, her TNT is going to hit both of you. It's just not a good idea, especially not when there is good sightlines on this map. So like your Widow could be here, peeking these shots. You could be like over here, peeking those shots. And you both have good angles where you can hit good shots. But instead you're in the same spot, so you might as well just have one DPS on your team right now. Too high. Yep, unlucky. It can just barely be above Ryan's shield to still get people. So you need to, like, throwing it over that sign there is honestly just kind of wasteful. You might as well throw it like to the left or right. Like that was nice. That was clean. Why do we not commit to the Zen? Why would we rather farm the Ashe? I get that the Ashe isn't 100% behind cover here, but I don't know why we rotated to this right side when this left side... I just don't get why you did both. So you go to the left side to avoid the damage, or you go to the right side to avoid the damage in theory, but then you just didn't commit to a target, so why did you even avoid damage? You would have been better, even if that Zen had like 5-orbed you. If you had killed that Zen and traded, you would have been better than just shooting at nothing the whole time. One of my main thoughts right now would be, where is Sombra? We know that they have a Sombra, and you're kind of like lonely right now. So one of my number one things would be really listening carefully for her and making sure that I knew exactly where my supports are and maybe even where my Widow was, so that I can try and help if Sombra goes on them. There's Sombra. Oh, unlucky. Okay, so we had TNT on cooldown for a second here, though. I know we got distracted by the Sombra here, but still on cooldown, and you can see the enemy Ryan's shield right there. So yeah, when you know they're all right here, even just 3-4 seconds, whatever this is, it's gonna make a massive difference in your ult charge, which is probably part of the reason that we're on track for a 2-minute ult right now, when hopefully we want to get it just a little bit faster than that in this SR. Nice. Heard her go invisible, and so you threw the TNT. Very nice. Risky only because you didn't know exactly what was going on the rest of the fight. You couldn't see everything, and your teammates might have been critical about to go down, and then it would have just been you and Bob here, and the Ryan could have just stood and shielded both of you. And so I don't 100% agree with that, especially like you lost your Ana almost right away in that fight, and it wasn't really like you and your Bob that turned that around. It worked out well though, so I mean you can't be upset, and it did get some value, but just risky. And so you have to go into that knowing like, oh, I may waste my ult. Also, like, think about where you are right now. So you're trying to challenge this Widow here, which is cool and all. Thankfully, your Widow is actually winning. But there is no cover around you right now. Like, if that Widow wanted to kill you... So where is that Widow going to be? She initially shot you from these stairs here. So there's a couple options where she realistically would have went. She could have grappled onto any of this. Or up here. And from there she may have gone across here. So already by going over here, we'll take yellow highlighter. Already by going over here, you're taking the risk that she rotated over here, which you're useless against because of where you went. But so you still have 2 spots left, so that's not terrible. But then where you're standing here gives you no cover. None. So what would you have done if she dropped down here and headshot or something like that? Like, there was nothing, there was nowhere here that you would be safe. If you wanted to threaten her on this corner, you can do it behind these rocks. You can do it behind these rocks. You can be really safe and like take these corners over here. You can even continue to go around and do it like from under here so that you have cover and then you have longer sight lines even. But threatening that from where you are is basically asking to get killed by that Widow. And especially 4.2k, as you get even just a tiny bit higher, like that's already plenty high, but as you get even just a tiny bit higher, the Widow will hit this shot before you can get behind one of these covers. And even worse, I didn't even notice it before I went into that, your coach gun's on cooldown. So if Widow does drop here and you miss your initial shot, you don't even have coach gun to get out of here. Like, you're dead. So the Rhines saw you go up here, and they have sights. So I thank God their Widow is just an idiot in general. That's really what's allowing you to play right now. Some of just the dumb stuff that their Widow's doing. But the Rhines saw you go up here, so in theory has already told the Widow and the Sombra where you are. And then sights. Like, you should have peeked right there and been headshot. And you gotta keep that in mind. At least the Sombra somehow realized, or finally realized. So look at where your Widow is right now. Your Widow has this left side locked down. Why are you rotating over to your Widow? Again, you guys had the same problem on point A. You guys are going to end up taking the exact same sight line, and it's going to be just not ideal. So where is your Widow right now? Is she literally like on top of you? I think that was your Widow in the bottom right corner right there, like on top of you basically. Yep, there she is. And there she is. You guys are in the exact same spot, which is crazy. That sucks. I mean, I won't even talk about the Widow one-on-one there, because there you go. That's kind of what I've been talking about the whole time, that the Widow should win that 1v1 when you're going to fight her at range. But even crazier is that you and your Widow were in the exact same spot. So that Widow didn't even end up dying right away like she should have. If you and your Widow would have had 2 different sight lines on that same place, their Widow cannot shoot both of you. In theory, hopefully, without one of you hitting her. But because you were in the same spot, she was able to stand there and just be uncontested. You threw your bob there when you guys were 6v3. So I would really ask yourself if that was needed. Or were you guys going to win that anyway. Because you were going to win that anyway. So unfortunately, it just means we wasted our Bob. Exact same sightline as your McCree again. Now just imagine if you and your McCree had been on opposite high grounds, different sight lines, and so that Zarya couldn't have just stood right here to dodge both of you, because you guys were both right here and right here. So if she hugged this wall, neither of you guys could shoot her. Super unfortunate, because she should have died. She was alone, and there's a McCree and an Ashe shooting at her. You gotta use your Bob slightly differently. Like, one great use of your Bob is comboing with like your tank or something, so that they can get like a shatter or bomb off, or you know, throwing it into their backline to really get their healers, or using Bob's knockup to get headshots on whoever they knocked up. Just throwing Bob like at the payload like that, like that's what you do in like an overtime stall. That's not what you do like in an ideal situation. It's unlucky. If you want to get that Lucio slightly away from you right there, I probably would have just thrown the TNT at the ground. You were realistically going to die anyway, and if you weren't going to die, your honest heals were going to hit you before your TNT would have blown up. Like, don't shoot your TNT, just throw it on the ground. You and your McCree are right next to each other again. It's basically like you and your McCree are playing double hit scan and you're both standing in the same spot. Like, that's effectively what you and your McCree are doing. I mean, that's unfortunate, but it was almost, could have seen it coming, not even the high noon. Just the fact that we threw, I think, 2 or 3 ults there without our Rhine, like right at the start of the fight. Our Rhine died, so we would have just been better to get him again and use our like 6 ults that our team would have had to push that together. Just because you lose someone doesn't mean the push has to stop. But realistically, if you lose your main tank in a situation like this where there's going to be overtime stalls, where there's going to be ults, high noons, they have a Rhine so you guys could get shattered, etc. Wait for your main tank, please. Right there's a situation where you don't have to shoot your TNT unless you're confident it's going to hit someone, because it was in a good enough spot, like to where it's at least forcing your enemies to walk closer to the payload instead of hang back there, or if they hang back there then they get TNT'd. The end there, it's kind of just unfortunate. Needed to, you know, your team really needed to secure those kills. I think you guys got pretty much everyone on their team to half, but almost never killed anyone. And maybe that could have been fixed with a better VOD, maybe better positioning, but it's an over 10 stall. Like, this isn't exactly the best place to give you feedback.
Why no one talk?
Even in a situation like this, like you and your Widow are actually right next to each other. Like she's right behind you. And that's your fault. Like you went to where she was standing. So all you're doing is letting that Tracer take both of your attention instead of one of your attention. Getting dove easier in situations like that. It's not like you're playing like a McCree or something, where if she got dove, then you could like flashbang. And even then, I still don't agree with it. But Ashe and Widow next to each other actually get no extra value. And especially, even if there was any sort of extra value, it does not trade off at all for having separate angles. Like imagine if that Tracer would have had to go for you because you were somewhere else, and the Genji went for your Widow. Maybe neither of them would have got either kill because they couldn't have gone for your Widow together. I mean, with this here, like, I get you were just trying to farm the Winston. You weren't going to kill the Winston, so if you were just trying to farm the Winston, you may as well have just shot him. Never tried to EMP him, or never tried to hack him, but it's whatever, either way there. It would have been nice, obviously, if you were there to, like, hack the Nano Blade, and now that we're off a sniper, we do need to be paying much more close attention to our enemy's ults, because we're actually going to be within range of them a lot of times. That's why I didn't even mention any of the grabs or anything when you were on Ashe, because most of the time you're out of range anyway. Big.
I'm on fire.
Good. Yeah. Make sure you always, if there's a Primeling Monkey, make sure you always get that hack off right away to help your team farm them. Even if you lose a little bit of your farming, it at least make sure they're not going to get away. That short jump cooldown can be huge. Within boop range, oh no. That, I mean, that's like Sombra hacking a good Lucio 101. You can't be within boop range there. If he's a good Lucio, which you're automatically assuming that he's at least decent because of your SR, boop is going to be like his instinct. And there is a fine line, like you need to be close enough to hit your shots, but please don't try and hack a Lucio in their boop. It's like one of the few things that they can do to stop you. Also here, your translocator's way too far away. It's keeping you out of the fight for too long. There's not many great places, even that is better though. Like, hundreds of times better. But when they're this far away, like, you can place the translocator where you are now. Like, so you're setting up for the EMP here right now, but does your team know that? Like, you're not in comms. And that's another case there where our team did get bladed. Thankfully the blade didn't end up doing very well, but if we know they have a blade like that, we need to try and be somewhere where we can hack the Genji. No dash resets on his blade is huge. I don't totally understand why you try and hack there and not just farm your EMP. You know you've been seen. And so Any team with communication's gonna know you're literally right there. Again, we hacked the Winston for pretty much no reason. Like, our team had lost this. It was 2v6. If you're going to stay in this, then just farm your EMP. Don't, like hacking the Winston isn't going to change anything. Another time where like your hack wasn't gonna do anything. I'm down for all the hacks in the world that you want. It's great, it can help you team, whatever. But literally, like you just showed right there, if there's nothing for you to be doing at the moment, then maybe just go hack health packs or something. It can make a huge difference for your team, where you failing a hack and then getting like 2 bullets off when you almost have EMP already, and you will have EMP by the next engagement, doesn't do anything. If we were in comms, we could have planted an EMP bomb with our diva. Or we could have, you know, seen the bomb flying through the air and EMP'd. In that case, when you know you've been seen like that, you can play a frontline DPS. Like, you can play, like, wear a, like kind of behind your Rhine shield, so that you're at least getting shots off and helping your team. When you're playing in the middle of nowhere, because you've been seen, you're essentially giving your team a 5v6. And really, you're giving that to the enemy team. I don't disagree with hacking Rhine there. Hacking a nano Rhine who's already in can be pointless, but it makes sure they don't get the fire strike, it makes sure they can't charge out, anything like that. So I don't disagree with it at all. If more of your team was dead, it wouldn't have made any sense. But because it was still like a 5v6, I don't disagree with it.
I'm out of here. Be right back.
Your Sombra is stronger than your Ashe, but part of that is literally just because your positioning on your Sombra has been much better. Your actual decision making is about the same.
Contest. Bro, what are you teaming, bro?
Fire at will.
Complete.
I'm happy that you're playing Sombra again. That's the right choice. If there was a choice just between Sombra and Ashe, like if that's all you play at a GM level, then that is the right choice.
I might use it later.
So now you've seen there's no one in their backline, so why not throw our translocator back here? We know this is the direction that the fight's going to be going. It gives you a better place to translocate to. If you know someone's, say, respawning, that you can spawn camp, then you can teleport to your translocator and get to that spawn camp sooner. Like, there's a lot of great choices. Like, you, essentially there, your team just won that 5v6.
Beacon in place.
Nano boost is charging.
10 seconds remaining.
Don't have much time.
Use me.
Can they?
Be right back.
There you go. Still far, especially if you're going to have to do a last second contest, but a better place than it was. If you would have held onto your translocator there, knowing that you have to do a last second contest is why you do this. But you could have thrown it up in the air to make sure that you could stay on payload for just another second even. If that could be the time needed to get someone back. It's good dynamite. I like to see that. You probably did that the first time too. So Ashe ideally does not play at the range of McCree. And by rotating left here, you've already determined that you're going to play at the range of McCree. Because now they're super close to you. And if you're a McCree, with that flashbang, with those rapid headshots, that's fine. But on Ashe, you're essentially handicapping yourself by playing that close. And then now you're almost playing too far. You can't hit any of the shots you need. So now you had to use your coach gun, so you don't have a cooldown that you may need. One of your biggest issues definitely seems to be positioning. Not positioning in like, oh, you're getting yourself killed by your positioning. Your positioning in that sense has been like rather average, but your positioning of helping you get kills has been pretty bad. Like you've been making stuff like harder on yourself than it needs to be. And if you were in comms right now, which I still firmly stand by, you could let your team know that you're going to be able to bob your point, so that maybe then your supports wouldn't have to be on point right now, so they wouldn't be dead. Power of comms are crazy.
Poor fucking absolutely garbage players.
He's upset. Best advice for you, work on your positioning so that you're not standing in places that are making it too hard for you to get kills. Don't ever, if you have two snipers on your team, don't ever stand next to both of them. Especially like on this first point here, there's multiple good places to stand. So your enemies are, say here is where they've gotten the cart to. Widow here, you here, anything like that can give you so much more freedom. Widow playing way back even, say they have a Widow of their own, and you playing over here, it just gives you so much more freedom and closes off so many more sightlines to your enemies. And by nature makes it harder to dive because two of you guys are in separate places. So you don't have to worry about a Winston landing on you both or a Genji swift striking you both. It physically can't happen if you're in separate places. So really focus on that positioning and then focus on the alt usage too, definitely. I would say those are two of your biggest problems right now and two things that'll very legitimately help you climb too.